This message is brought to you by Apple Card. Shave ice by the beach. A trip to the state fair. And a throwback flick at the local drive-in. They're more than just items to check off the summer bucket list. They're also opportunities to earn 2% daily cash back when you use your Apple Card with Apple Pay. Apply for Apple Card now and use in minutes with Apple Pay. Subject to credit approval. Apple Card is issued by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, Salt Lake City branch. Terms and more at applecard.com.
Propel Fitness Water. With Gatorade electrolytes, zero sugar, and vitamins, Propel hydrates better than water to help you get the most out of your workout and get back to your best self. What propels you? Propel with Gatorade electrolytes.
AI is moving fast across the enterprise. But without visibility, it's just chaos. Different tools, different models, different teams using AI in completely different ways. ServiceNow turns that chaos into control. With the AI Control Tower, you see all your AI across the business in one place. What it's doing, what it's done, and what it's about to do. So you stay in control. To put AI to work for people, visit servicenow.com.
From the Fifth Quarter Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to Coach Unplugged. And now, your host, Steve Collins.
Hey everybody, welcome to Coach Unplugged. So excited you decided to join us today. Before I jump into the podcast, go over and leave a 5-star review. We really love those reviews. Leave some comments. I read all of them and we would really appreciate that. But before we get started, I definitely want to give a big shout out to our two sponsors. First of all, Dr. Dish, the #1 shooting machine on the market, bar none. Mention Coach Unplugged, you get $450 off and you'll get the best customer service you'll ever expect. Just mention Coach Collins and they'll take really good care of you. Also, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. It is the one-stop shop for basketball coaches. It's something, you know, when I started teachhoops.com, it was what I would have wanted as a young coach before, you know, all the state championships and all the nationally ranked teams that I've coached. And not to brag, just to kind of tell kind of my journey, I would have killed for this stuff because it would have made my life so much easier. A little bit of everything that you need to become a better basketball coach. And we are the only people out there that offer 14-day free trial because we believe in it so much. Follow the roadmap, work on your craft, and you get me one-on-one mentoring. So I can't imagine anything better than that. I don't know. Anyway, go over and check it out. And let's head off to the podcast.
Hello, coaches, and hope you guys are having an amazing day. We have a special guest today, Mary Vollmer. She's a former player and quasi-coach, I guess we could say. You haven't fully committed yet 100%, but she has a son who plays and she helps out on his team. Mary is also a professor at St. Mary's College, where she teaches English and a few other subjects. Author. What else? Yeah. Wife, mother.
Yeah. Well, I took a job just recently in February as the mission fellow for athletics, which is kind of like a chaplaincy position. So I work with the NCAA athletes and some of the club teams too on balance and spiritual wholeness. And as a former D1 athlete, I had a lot of struggles with that and have subsequently learned a great deal about helping myself, also helping artists because I'm a novelist. So I spent the last probably 10 years of trying to help artists and writers find a balance that contributes to their art, but also acknowledges the wholeness of their being. And so I'm trying to bring that now to NCAA college athletes. And it's been a real joy. And of course, the crossover, the youth sports is completely transparent. I coach the CYO boys at Santa Monica's, my son and a bunch of others, and also help out wherever I can without being an annoyance as well. And so I've learned bringing a lot of the things that I've learned about contemplative prayer, about meditation, some of Phil Jackson's philosophies of team building and athlete building. If you hear something in the distance, that's my nephew who's singing a very strange song loudly. So it's exciting. It's exciting to be here. It's exciting to come back into basketball after spending most of my youth in compelled by nothing else. And coming back now as a teacher and an author and a coach to have a broader perspective on what maybe I wish I had as a young athlete, and what maybe we can offer as coaches now to our young athletes.
Well, yeah, and let's dive into that right away, because I think you do bring a unique perspective. You obviously played high school, played college. Now you're helping D1 athletes with their time while they get to play. And I think you hit on a very important subject, is instilling knowledge that you wish you had during your playing days. And I guess, what are you sharing with your athletes? If you had 3 takeaways, like for aspiring college athletes, what would you say to them? Or what are you saying to them, really?
Well, the aspiration itself is worth the pursuit. And I think the misconception is that you have to attain some goal. And the goal is important, but the goal is a means of achieving some kind of wholeness that you otherwise wouldn't have done without it. So, and what I mean by wholeness is the ability to devote oneself, the ability to understand what sacrifice is, sacrifice for a team, but also sacrifice for some outcome that is not sure. Embracing that uncertainty on a daily basis, and doing the work, and that kind of thing is going to translate to anything a young person is going to pursue in the future. Anything. And
how can a coach, and coaches out here listening, because I think that's a really important part, is the sacrifice. Right? How can a coach help their athletes with that message? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think there's sacrifice for a team, and there's sacrifice for your own development as a human being and as an athlete. And I think they have to go together. Athletes, especially young athletes, have to understand that there is no complete sacrifice of self for team. That and in the process of becoming part of a team, an integral part of the team, you gain far more than you lose. And a coach's job is to kind of reveal what that gain is and embrace it. So if you are Rudy, and you're gonna, and that was my role in college, right? I was very good. I was an All-American in high school, but when I got to college, I wasn't big or tall enough, didn't quite have the mental strength to push through some of those limitations. But I was in practice, and I was going to make every starter better. And I recognized that was my role, and my coaches recognized the value of that role. So did my teammates. So even though I wasn't gaining the notoriety, I was helping us move forward. And that was very satisfying in the end. So having even that, my sacrifice of my time and my energy and my effort and my pain for something that wasn't necessarily reflecting directly on me was still very satisfying.
Yeah, that is one of the things that I talk about in my team is I always ask them, who's the most important person in the room, right? And we go through this exercise, and then someone will say the person next to them, and they'll recognize them for something that they've done, right? Basketball related or whatever, it doesn't have to be, right? A lot of times it's something they've done in practice. You know what? I noticed her effort today, or I noticed her energy, or I noticed, during the drills, she was really struggling, but then figured it out, right? The whole idea behind that, of course, is to put the focus on someone else and work harder for someone else than yourself. Because I think of those limitations we naturally put on ourselves, right? But for some reason, I'm going to work so much harder for you, Mary, on the court. If I can change that mindset than I am for myself, all of a sudden those limitations go away.
Yeah.
And that's the whole, that's what we're trying to communicate. So
and there's 2 things I think in there. One, the sacrifice doesn't have to be large. One of the things we would do is that I decided I would go rebound everybody's ball. I would make sure that I went and got the ball and brought it back. It was a very, very small change. And it was a point in the year where we were about to lose it. Emotionally, chemistry wise, we were just on the brink. And just that small gesture, unspoken and probably unconscious on my part, Only upon reflection do I understand what it meant. After a while, everybody was doing that. Everybody was just going and getting someone else's ball and bringing it back. Yeah. And that sense of camaraderie and very small sacrifice led to a larger feeling of togetherness that we wouldn't have achieved necessarily without those small gestures. And what you said about taking time, just taking time to notice. There's 3 no's, like to notice, to name it, and then to know it. To notice what someone else is doing, to name it out loud, and then to know it about yourself and your team. Those are 3 things you can do every day in practice. And it does take time away from the physical aspect, but that mental aspect is so important and so emphasized, I think.
And I like the way, so it's notice, name it, and know it. Did I get that right?
Yeah. And it's a feedback loop, right?
Yeah. But it's quick, and it's something that, again, a coach can instill in their practice or after a game or whatever it is, right? I'm curious, though, going back on the conversation, and I think this is really important. You achieved high levels in high school. Now you're at D1, and now you're quote unquote just rebounding, we'll call it, right? You obviously came in with an ego thinking, hey, I just got to I'm playing D1 basketball, and realize, oh, I'm not the best person on this team. Mm-hmm. That's a big shot to your ego. So and let's bring that down now, right, to the other levels in basketball. Grade school, right? I'm the best player on my grade school team. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm not the best one on my high school team anymore, right?
Yeah.
Right. How one, personally, do you make that adjustment and realization? How long did it take you? And then 2 is, how does a coach...
This message is brought to you by Apple Card. Shave ice by the beach, a trip to the state fair, and a throwback flick at the local drive-in. They're more than just items to check off the summer bucket list. They're also opportunities to earn 2% daily cash back when you use your Apple Card with Apple Pay. Apply for Apple Card now and use in minutes with Apple Pay. Subject to credit approval. Apple Card is issued by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, Salt Lake City branch. Terms and more at applecard.com.
Low energy, unfocused, foggy? You might be dehydrated. Gatorade Zero powders have been scientifically designed to help improve hydration balance in the body. With a clinically proven electrolyte blend and no artificial colors or flavors. Great tasting hydration no matter where you're going. Shop now online or at retailers nationwide. Gatorade, hydrates better than water. Is it in you? Symptoms noted are signs of mild to moderate dehydration. Consult a healthcare professional if symptoms persist.
Help a student through that, maybe recognize that, and give them the tools to, like, because there this balance, though. Oh, I'm not the best one, but am I just being hard on myself, or am I really not the best one?
Yeah.
And is it just I just don't know, and I need to get to there? So there's a lot in that, but I just want to, I think it's a good subject to talk about, and how you fight through all of that.
I think I understood it after I was done playing. But I understand it now, and I understand it watching my son play and coaching. Mm-hmm. And one is that there's a wholeness of being that's emerging in every young person, and the athletics might be part of it. But in the same journey where I was struggling on the court, I was starting to write. There was an outlet for my frustration, and it emerged that was a talent. And so allowing yourself, when you hit walls, to grow in other directions, that doesn't mean that that's the end of growth. It just might be a means of growing in another direction. Yeah. And the other thing is the notion of being a best on the team. If we can somehow undercut that by saying you're the best rebounder, you've got the best handles. I mean, 5 people on a team that need to work together, and how do you acknowledge and celebrate the talents of someone else without undermining your own ability, undermining your own, whatever it is you bring to the team. And if we can figure out a way of instilling that in the very lowest levels of youth sport, so that as they grow up, they're not thinking I'm the best or I'm nobody, which is kind of, I don't know that it's an American notion. I spent a lot of time in England and Wales, where football, of course, soccer is more dominant than anything. No one is going to dominate. You got to have all different kinds of talents and abilities to contribute. But how can a coach help a student athlete? Again, notice them. Notice what they're, hey, I like that nail polish. That's cool. What did you get that? Or I like other aspects of the person walking in the gym, the whole person walking in the gym. How'd the test go? Is your sister all right? Noticing these things, naming them, and then letting that person know that they're known as a valuable part of the team beyond what they can do with that orange ball. And at the lower levels of youth sport, wins and losses, maybe they matter, but they probably shouldn't. It really is the development of that whole person. And then helping them when they get to those levels where they meet the boundaries. Now, some boundaries are solid. If you're 5'1" and not a tremendous athlete, there's only so far you can go in the sport. There's a lot of other places you can go. Or if that kid is 5'8" and she's hit a plateau, and it's hard. Suddenly it's hard. It's never been hard before. How do you help that person say, yeah, it's hard now. What are you going to do? You have two options. You can say, I'm not going to do this because it's hard, or you can embrace the difficulty and just see how far you can go. And as a coach, you have to kind of recognize the difference between an athlete who is discovering hard for the first time. I'm not the best on my varsity team. That's an opportunity for growth. I'm probably not going to play in my varsity team. That's also an opportunity for growth, but just in another direction, and to value that direction as much as you value the varsity team.
Well, and what about the opposite of that though too, which is the player maybe is, barely made the team, but then all of a sudden thinks he or she is the best on the team.
I see that more in boys than I see it in girls.
You see it more in boys, you said?
I see that mentality more in boys than I see it in girls. We just did a study on Division I and Division III men's basketball team, men's sports generally, and the perception of where they were going after this. And Division III and Division I men all thought they were going pro.
Oh, wow.
and it was like, because that's kind of what they're born into. Women have not had that ceiling for very long. They haven't had something to aspire to, so their eyes have always been broader. Now, I think you let the game teach that kid. There's not a lot you need to say. When they're on the court, the game will teach that student, that athlete, more than your words can. Now, when it doesn't go well, then you have to figure out how to speak to that student, that to know that the failure, which is what it is, and we can't say that doesn't exist. To say we fail, sometimes we fail. That doesn't mean you're a lesser person. It just means in this particular moment, this is not a success. And to be able to see yourself honestly and with compassion is probably one of the greatest gifts sports can give you. And not a lot of people learn to do that. They're often afraid of failure, and that fear of failure lasts lifetime because they've never had to confront it. And so as difficult as that is, whenever that happens, and some people find it in junior high and some people come against it like me in college, it hurts, it's hard. And the game taught me how to get through it. And the coach wasn't much help.
Well, did you get bitter towards the coach when this was? Did you blame? Because that's what I see.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, right? It's the coach's. Oh, he doesn't play me. because he doesn't like me. He doesn't play me for whatever reason, right? It's
Yeah.
his fault. It's not because I can't play. It's he doesn't appreciate,
Right.
doesn't love me, doesn't whatever, right?
Yeah. And that can, then when a kid gets in the game and she perceives she's not being supported, that can make it harder to actually perform to her ability, whatever that is. And I think you just have to have honest conversations. I had a coach sophomore year in college who said, look, you're probably not going to start ever. And I will support you if you want to transfer. I hope you don't, because I think you have this and this and this to offer the team. And I think that's just as important as scoring a lot of points. But you're probably not going to start. What are you going to do with that information?
Yeah, right.
And that honesty, as much as it hurt at the moment, in retrospect, I'm grateful. Did she limit me? I don't think so. You should have seen the athletes I was playing with. They were pretty spectacular. But at least now I could focus on what I could do, what I could contribute, and found great value in that.
So you turned that situation into a positive. So you don't look back and saying, oh, that was a failure in my life. And I think you said it before, it taught you something new, which is your ability to write.
Yeah, it's still teaching me. Yeah. And I can't say that I don't have moments when I think back and think, if I had just had X, Y, Z, if I could have just, and a lot of times I come back to my own mental toughness, which wasn't nearly as tough as I physically was at the time. And really, I think if we can focus more on those, okay, I can coach a 2-3 zone, 1-3-1 zone. Fine. I can do all that. How do you coach mental toughness?
Yeah.
How do you coach spiritual strength and wholeness, even within these difficult situations? That's an opportunity in youth sport that we're not taking
a little bit,
of.
because we've heard a lot about mental toughness right now. We're at Coaching Youth Hoops. We're launching some mental toughness exercises and incorporating that within practice plans. So a youth coach who's got 1 to 2 practices a week can use these exercises, right? Because most of us are not trained as sports psychologists, right? And so we need the tools to help us, just like most of the volunteer coaches are not coaches, right? It's not what they do, right? So, we give them the tools. So, we're coaching the game on the court and the game in the head. But touch upon that on the mental toughness side, but then also the spiritual side and what you mean by that, and explore that a little bit. Well,
they're linked. The notion that physical toughness, mental toughness, spiritual wholeness they're separate. They're not. They're all feeding one another. You look at the best athletes in the world. You look at the Stephen Currys. You look at the way they approach the game and their physicality, and you think that the two cannot be separated. Now, how did they learn that? Phil Jackson has a book, Sacred Hoops, where he traces the way that he went from a purely physical player to one that approaches the game on a spiritual and mental level. He uses Buddhism as his kind of framework. The difficulty is, of course, we can talk about sports, religion, and politics, like the two things you think sports are free of. How do you do that in a non-denominational, open ways? Yeah. I think a lot of the Catholic colleges and high schools and lower, they have a built-in platform for kind of addressing those kinds of concerns within the framework of the Catholic tradition, which the students, by virtue of going there, are buying into. But there are ways of non-denominational, just meditative practice. Learning how to sit in silence. Gratitude practice is a really easy, I'd say. You can do it every day. What are you grateful for today? And just that question makes them acknowledge, and then it turns the energy of the room into a positive energy.
Hey everybody, I hope you enjoy it. Make sure you subscribe. We would really appreciate that. Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen, those 5-star reviews mean a ton to us. Also, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. Have a great day.
NFL football season is here, which means when you switch to Verizon, it feels like touchdown, because you get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube on us when you buy an eligible 5G phone on select unlimited plans, which means you can watch every out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon, and it's all on us. Now that's the Verizon way to kick off the NFL football season right. Switch and get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube on us, only with Verizon.
I see you.
Avatar: Fire and Ash is now streaming on Disney+. It's the film critics are calling the best Avatar yet.
Yeah! Go, 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 go!
A true epic and completely jaw-dropping.
This is the only pure thing in this world.
Return to Pandora on Disney+.
It will be an adventure for the whole fam.
And watch the Oscar-winning phenomenon at home.
This is sick!
Avatar: Fire and Ash, now streaming on Disney+. Rated PG-13.